That's right, a Draven video. Now, before starting this video, I want to say that I made this video just dedicated for one person, which is Miko Alcantara. This person, I'm gonna scroll here. Here's day 100, day 99, day 98, day 97, day 96, and you can see it's every day like a day ago. Miko has been requesting me to play Draven for over 3 months already. And this is the video. I played a lot of Draven. And today I got the perfect Draven video for you guys, where I'm gonna explain to you how you can dominate your games on Draven. Because Draven was, I think he was the hardest champion for me to learn and play. So, okay, in the beginning part of the video, I'm gonna explain to you how to build Draven. If you wanna skip to the gameplay immediately, timestamps in the description. So let's talk about how to build Draven. There are a few different builds. So basically this is my favorite build, where you go for Bloodthirster and then an Infinity Edge. So the thing with this build is you should always be able to get a Bloodthirster before the first dragon. I know it costs 3,400 gold, but you're supposed to get a kill before the first dragon. And if you don't, then it kind of sucks, you know? It kind of sucks if you're unable to get a kill. So you start with a Bloodthirster. Now let me tell you a thing. If you actually cannot get a kill, like if you hadn't been able to get a kill, the way that you should build him instead is, so obviously you start with a BF sword. You always start with a BF sword. You do not start with a vampiric scepter. If you hadn't been able to get a kill and you cannot buy the Bloodthirster, buy another BF sword instead. So see, the thing with this is it gives you 80 attack damage. It gives you an incredible power spike, and like this is just way more powerful than if you're unable to finish off the Bloodthirster. So if you cannot finish the Bloodthirster, don't buy this. Don't. Buy this instead before the first dragon, right? I'm only talking about if you want to fight at the first dragon. So if you want to fight at the first dragon and cannot buy a Bloodthirster, get double BF sword. Otherwise, just finish off your Bloodthirster. It's an amazing item. After the Bloodthirster, your playstyle completely changes, and I'll talk about that more during the gameplay part of the video. As your second item, Infinity Edge. Now, I've tried Mortal Reminder second item, and it's okay against a tanky matchup, but Infinity Edge, guys, the damage that this gives you, oh my god, you really should get the Infinity Edge. You get 25% crit chance, but when you do crit, you're gonna do like what, 40% of the enemy's ADC's HP as the damage. It's actually that insane. So by the way, after your Bloodthirster, make sure you get boots, tier 1 boots at least. Now after your Infinity Edge, get Glutinous Greaves, and at this point you have 8 plus 15%, which is 23% vampirism. What does this mean? You can just keep attacking the enemy. Even if you get super low, you're just going to heal up from minions very easily. So again, your playstyle changes here. I'll explain more of that during the gameplay part of the video. Now as your enchantment, I have Proto Belt here, but there's basically a few that you can go. Stasis enchant is obviously really good if you're against like Zed, Fizz, you know, champions that can just hard dive you, maybe even Camille to block her ultimate, for example. So I actually really often go for Stasis enchant. I would say 90% of my games. Now, if you don't feel like you don't need the Stasis, go for the Proto Belt, because with the Proto Belt you can chase down any enemy. I mean, you can already pretty much chase down any enemy with Draven, but with the Proto Belt you're going to be even faster. It's actually insane. Like, you're going to be so fast with the Proto Belt. As your third item, it's situational. Is the enemy a full squishy composition, or are you snowballing the game? Which like snowballing as in hard snowballing, you know, like hard, like if you're 8-0, 9-0, get a rapid fire cannon. See, rapid fire cannon is going to allow you to snowball even harder, or it's going to allow you to do even more damage to squishy targets. But let me teach you a thing here. It's very risky to go rapid fire cannon, because if the enemy has a champion that has a lot of armor, you're actually not going to be dealing a lot of damage to them, unless you're, again, hard snowballing. But if you're not hard snowballing and the enemy has a few tanks, it's actually way better to go for a Mortal Reminder because of that 30% armor penetration. You know, it's just gonna allow you to still do a lot of damage to them. You're already gonna be dealing quite a lot of damage to squishies anyways. It's just you're not gonna deal as much burst anymore, because you're not gonna have, you know, 50% critical damage. You're just gonna have 25, so you're gonna have to rely on that 25%. So you just have to choose. Do you just want to blow up squishies, or are you hard snowballing, or are you against a few tanks? Because trust me, with these three items you're never going to be able to kill tanks. As your fourth item, Rapid Fire Cannon. Now, if the enemy has a lot of attack damage assassins, you can actually build a Guardian Angel as well. It's a really good item, but only if the enemy has like Rengar, Kha'Zix, Lee Sin, champions like that, right? Zed. Then you should buy a Guardian Angel. Otherwise, just stick to your crit items, and as your last item, Phantom Dancer as well. So I don't recommend Guardian Angel again unless you're against these assassins, because the damage that these two items provide you is insane. You're gonna have 75% critical damage if you finish this build. Okay, let's now talk about the runes. First rune, Conqueror. You know, Conqueror is basically there for the mid game, late game. In the early game, you don't really need a rune. Like, you don't need fleet footwork. You don't need anything. Like, all the runes are pretty much useless on him. Ari could be interesting, but no, Ari is just not worth it, guys. It's not worth it. Phase Rush, I have tried Phase Rush. It's just, you don't really need Phase Rush. That's the thing with Draven. You already have your second ability. That's why Conqueror is just better to, you know, still allow you to stack up that damage in the mid game. Now, as your second rune, it depends. Champion rune is for the real advanced Draven players. If you're already really good at Draven, Champion is going to be the best rune because it's going to give you that 8% bonus damage in the early game. And even if you die one time, you still have 4% bonus. Triumph is interesting, but see, the problem with Triumph is it doesn't provide you anything in the laning matchup. It only provides you something in team fights. I don't like it, but could be interesting. I don't like it because it just doesn't provide you the big damage. It only provides you survivability. Hunter Vampirism is also an interesting rune. Now, only go for Hunter Vampirism if you actually don't build Bloodthirster. If you already have a Bloodthirster, you don't need Hunter Vampirism anymore. Gathering Storm, don't go for Gathering Storm. Brutal is okay as well. You know, it's a safe rune. If you're a beginner Draven, I recommend you to go for Brutal, but if you're already pretty good at Draven, go for Champion. As your third rune, it's situational. Hunter Titan is going to be good if the enemy has a lot of CC, because in the mid game it's very annoying to deal with a lot of CC. Bone plating is good against a lot of burst damage. Lee Sin, Zed, you know, champions like that. There's actually another one that's good, which is Adaptive Carapace. This one is going to give you even stronger early game. It's going to give you 50 health, and of course when you get under that 50 health, you're going to get either 12 armor or 12 magic resist. Incredibly powerful in that early game. So I really like Adaptive Carapace. So the runes that I go for is either Adaptive Carapace or I go for Hunter Titan. I rarely go for Bone Plating, only against a lot of burst damage. Hunter Titan I just really like because it provides you that tenacity. As your fourth rune, you go for Sweet Tooth, because Sweet Tooth is broken. For your spells, Barrier and Flash, always. You could go for Exhaust and Flash, you could, if you're against like an Evelyn or something and you want to deny the burst damage from her. But Barrier is just generally better in the early game especially. So enough about this, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, on to the gameplay. Miko, you did it, man. You did 100 days of requesting Draven. It's crazy because the comments that you put under the videos, like, they always got like 100, 200, 300 likes. It's crazy how many people were actually supporting you. And I really think it was an amazing journey, man. And I don't know if you want to, yeah, it was just an amazing journey. And I'm really happy to actually bring to you and to the audience, of course, but especially to you, the Draven video, because my man, you deserve this video. So let's talk about Draven. And man, this champion is hard. This champion is really, really, really hard. Okay, so basically the first 10 or 20 games that you're gonna play on Draven, you're gonna absolutely end the game, because understanding the passive is already not the easiest thing to do. Basically, the way it works is whenever you throw an axe, and when the axe hits an enemy, it calculates you know where it's gonna land. It's gonna land at a place where you would be 2 seconds after running. Let me explain. So if you're running to the front and you throw an axe, the axe is gonna land on the spot where it would take you 2 seconds to run towards to. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying here. So if you're running super fast, the axe is gonna land far. If you're standing right on your place, the axe is either gonna land on yourself, a little to your left, or a little to your right. It doesn't always land on yourself, because otherwise that would be broken. So now let's talk about how to play Draven in the laning matchup. So it depends against what champion you're against. So as you can see, right now we're against Ezreal and Rakan. These are the types of champions where I can take one basic attack traits with. And this is a very powerful thing of Draven. So what I mean with one basic attack traits is You go in, throw one axe at the enemy, and you go out. So you shouldn't always do this. Let me explain. Let's take... Yeah, so you should only do this if you can actually out-trade the enemy like this. You know, when you're against an Ezreal especially, Ezreal is never gonna out-trade you in the early game in a 1v1. So when you throw your axe and, you know, if the Ezreal shoots his first ability at you, for example, it is completely worth it. Because your axe deals like I think it's like 3 times more damage than his first ability in the early game. So against an Ezreal, always go for that trade. It depends on the support, however. Keep that in mind. Because if the enemy has Lulu, for example, Lulu is like one of the biggest counters to Draven, because she can shield her allies and she deals a lot of damage. So look at your composition and look at the enemy composition. Oh, so the Rakan just filled. That would be a good moment for me to actually engage, which is what I'm doing, as you can see. And you can always use your second ability for the bonus movement speed. I just killed him. I just killed him. I keep going. And he gives me the kill. And this is Draven for you guys. This is basically what you should always kind of be able to do on Draven. Either get the kills or completely starve your enemy in his lane. If you cannot do that, you're actually going to lose the game. Because Draven is absolute garbage in the late game. So here you can see I can already get the Bloodthirster. So I'm not going to go for double BF sword. I am going to go for the Bloodthirster. And at this point, when you've gotten 1 kill or 2 kills, got your tier 3 item, you need to push your advantage. Keep fighting the enemies. Like right now, I am like the damage that I have right now is absolutely insane. But before talking about this now, I'm gonna give you more tips on how to actually get that first kill, right? So a tip that I have for you on Draven is play duo queue. I'm playing duo queue right now because I played Draven in solo queue and it was incredibly frustrating. The reason that you want to play duo queue is because your duo queue has to understand that you need to take the kills. So he's actually not going to steal the kills from you. Another thing to understand is when you play Draven and when you get dived on, you really have to do your best to get 1 kill before you die. Even if you have to waste your flash for it, waste your barrier for it, really try to get that kill when you had a few stacks. Because it's going to give you a massive boost in the early game. It's going to give you a lot of gold, allows you to buy very good items in the early game. So getting that early game kill on Draven is absolutely crucial. Keep that in mind. So let's take a look at this. Now here you can see one of the weaknesses of Draven. When the enemy is sticking together, like they are right now, they're actually not doing it correctly though. It's a major weakness of Draven if the enemy sticks together. And here you can see the power of Draven, what I'm doing right here. Catching them one by one. Here, just look at this. So when the enemy collapses on you as like a 3-man or 4-man team, it's the biggest weakness of Draven. You're not Ezreal, you're not Jinx, you're not Kai'Sa. You cannot easily escape from them. So keep that in mind. As a Draven, in teamfights especially, you really want to put yourself in a situation where you're in a 1v1. Because this is the power of Draven, the 1v1s. He doesn't have any AoE damage. I mean, he has with his ultimate, but it's not his main damage, right? So with Draven, you really want 1v1 situations. Or maybe 2v2 if you're with your support. But not really, not really 1 versus 3 or 1 versus 2. This is a major weakness of Draven. Even if you're pretty ahead, it's really hard to actually win those 1 versus 3s or something like that. You can win them, of course, but it's too risky. Because if you die, it's really bad, because you're going to lose your champion runes and you're going to lose half of your stacks. So keep that in mind when playing Draven, guys. So let's talk about the third ability. The third ability is very important to catch out enemies or to push enemies away when they're chasing you. So when there's like 3 enemies chasing you, throw your third ability at them, push them back. By the way, I want to say something. If this video reaches 1,500 likes, I'll make another Draven video in like a few weeks. 1,500 likes and I'll make another Draven video. So Draven is an absolute monster turret pusher as well. Draven is one of the fastest turret pushers in the game, and when the enemy abandons their turret, you can hard push, And take a look at this. Now we're gonna talk about when you get that first kill, how you can absolutely snowball the game. Ooh, they're actually ganking me. I'm dead here. I really can't do anything. I used my ultimate. Jarvan, no. The Jarvan actually screwed me up. If the Jarvan hadn't used this ultimate, I would have actually killed all of them there. Yeah, here I'm screwed. Yeah, I died. Jarvan's ultimate actually completely screwed me. If the Jarvan hadn't used his ultimate there, I would have actually killed... I'm pretty sure I would have killed both of them right there. Oh, that was so sad. So now let's talk about the second ability of Draven. Now, obviously you can use it to catch out an enemy, to chase enemies, things like that. But let me tell you some other quite advanced ways to use it actually, which I found very, very powerful. So when you're in a team fight, especially when you're against champions that have skill shots, like Orianna, like Ziggs, or Jinx's second ability even, you know, things like that, use your second ability to dodge those skill shots. This is the thing that Draven can do, guys. So you don't only use your second ability to run away from enemies and things like that. Also against the Seraphim, use your second ability to dodge her abilities. It's very, very powerful to do. So keep that in mind. It's not only good... Oh, he's going on me again. But we're okay, actually. Like Draven, like as I said, if you're in a 1v1 situation, you are okay. Boom, another kill. Boom, another kill. Boom, another kill. Just look at this, guys. Look at this absolute domination on Draven. Your ultimate... See, the thing that I like about Draven's ultimate is, first of all, when you're in a 1v1 situation, there is like a combination that you can do. Basic attack with your axes, and then immediately use your ultimate on the enemy, and then another basic attack. What this is gonna do, it's gonna allow you to do an insane amount of burst damage to the enemy. This is very powerful if you want to get those 1v1 kills to the enemy. Obviously, you can also snipe out enemies with your ultimate. I'm dead here. I'm just dead here. I really can't do anything. That was pretty stupid. But as I said, the way that I like the ultimate the most is when you're in a 1v1 situation, you do basic attack, ultimate, basic attack. That's kind of like the best way to use it, to get that one kill, right? So, Draven, you may think that if you go 0-1 in the early game, you're already completely screwed on Draven. It's not true. See, a misconception about Draven is that people think the game is already over if you just die one time and, you know, if you're 0-1 basically. It's not. Let me explain what you should do when you're behind on Draven. So when you're 0-1, obviously do your very best to not die again. Gather stacks, you know, keep farming, get stacks, and then try again. Try to get a kill. But the thing is, you really gotta get some kills on Draven. If you're unable to get kills in the early game, you are screwed though. So let me tell you another well, it's not a weakness, it's just something that I realized when playing Draven, which is a thing that could be a weakness, which is when I play Draven and when I have teammates that play Draven, I often see that they're under-leveled. Now the reason, honestly, it's kind of hard to figure out the reason for that, but especially when a Draven dies, and then he dies again and again, he gets severely under-leveled, because see, when a Draven dies early game, he might get very demotivated and really try hard to get a kill, you know, to compensate for it, but this is a mistake. I'm gonna repeat it, when you die in the early game, don't just immediately try to get another kill. Of course, when you can, go for it, but just farm, guys, just farm. And you know, I'm not saying that you shouldn't play aggressive, you still should because you're Draven, but don't force it. As a Draven, you shouldn't always force it. Like, you can force aggressiveness if you're not behind, but if you're behind, you shouldn't force it. Just wait for the perfect moment to engage, and when you see a moment to engage, go for it. As a Draven as well, you're very powerful at turret pushing, and you should not play it passively. Go for the tower dives, because especially with your flash as well, you are gonna deal so much damage, especially in the early game, so you really should go for those tower dives if you feel like you can. So you basically have to get the enemy low, and when the enemy is low enough, you and your support go for the turret dive, get that kill and get out. You should be able to get out because of your second ability. And second ability, flash, because of these two things, you can dive way further than any other ADC in the game, pretty much. Like, there is no ADC that can play as aggressive as Draven under turrets especially. So keep that in mind also. Another thing to understand is in the early game, Um, use your flash. Yes. So when you basic attack the enemy and the enemy is very low, don't think like, yeah, sure, he's gonna go back to base. I'm gonna push his turret under his minions under the turret, which is really good for me. No. What you have to do is flash under his turret and get that kill. If you can, of course, flash under the turret and get that kill. Don't even let him breathe. That's the whole point of Draven, guys. You shouldn't allow the enemies to have any breathing space. Keep snowballing the game. Keep going. Here, boom, I took the red buff from him. I'm not gonna allow him to do anything. So here, I'm going for the dive. Let's take a look at what's gonna happen. I got the kill, but unfortunately my flash was just a little too late. If I hadn't taken another turret shot, I would have probably killed the Seraphim as well, because I have a Bloodthirster. And now we get to my next point of Draven. When you build the Bloodthirster, you should keep fighting. Even if you're at like 10% HP, keep fighting as if you had 100% HP. And what I mean with that is, don't just run away. Hit basic attacks on the enemy over and over again, because what it's gonna do, it's gonna heal you up. You have 23% physical vampirism. So if you deal 100 damage, you're gonna heal 23 HP. If you deal 400 damage, you're gonna heal 92 HP. You know, it's gonna be super fat. It's gonna be a lot of healing. So keep basic attacking the enemy, like boom, 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 boom. Because first of all, you're gonna do a lot of damage. Secondly, you're gonna heal up a lot. So this is basically the point of Draven. You don't want to just run away like a normal ADC. You're not a normal ADC. You're Draven, baby. Just take a look at this. Here, I'm just looking for 1v1s. I'm not diving hard into them. Like, I had the 1v1 against the Camille, and here I'm outside of the Jarvan ultimate, and I killed the Ezreal. This is what you do on Draven. You maintain that distance, and you get those 1v1 kills, and when you have the advantage in the team fight, that's where you actually go in and kill all of them. Just take a look at this. Oh no. Here, I'm still fighting. As you can see, what I did is I tried to fight because I was at 5% HP. I tried to fight, heal up. Unfortunately, it didn't work. But this is still what you have to do, because running away is just not efficient on Draven, guys. Like, you shouldn't really see Draven as a normal ADC. Draven is Draven. It's a special ADC, and no one is like Draven, guys. Absolutely no one is like Draven. It's just such a unique champion, and you have to play him in such a unique way. It's not like any other champion, really. So by the way, I'm doing a 15 skin giveaway. If you want to enter, put down a comment under this video. That's all you gotta do to enter. So when you get to the very late game on Draven, like full build, it depends on how early you get the full build, but if you get it pretty early, again, you want to keep pushing your advantage, because you're going to be incredibly powerful. You're going to have 75% crit damage, and you're going to absolutely blow up the enemy squishies with this build, especially if you're like one item ahead or something like that. See, if you're behind the enemy and you finally get your full build, you have to play it a little differently. You're still going to do an insane amount of damage, but it's not like broken damage, because of course the enemy is full build as well, and the enemy is likely gonna out damage you. Keep that in mind. Unless you're in a 1v1 situation. In a 1v1, Draven is still Draven. You're still likely gonna be able to out damage any champion, any ADC, sorry. So let's take a look at this. Again, you know, you really have to look at my positioning in team fights, and also if you have nothing to do, just do what I'm doing right here. Take farm and stack up. Like right now, you know, instead of standing there and doing nothing, I just took the farm and stacked up. And that's, you know, that's how you can maximize your gold. Here I saw the Ezreal, but unfortunately the Ezreal flashed out. And just look at this fight, guys. I dived a bit too deep, but this was just, you know, they all got low, and what does that mean? It means that they all die. And, you know, it's pretty much over. The enemies just cannot make a comeback anymore after all the snowballing that I did on my lane. And now I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really hope you did. Thank you so much for watching. And let's take a look at how much damage I actually did in this game and what rating I got before saying the goodbyes. Come on. The game lags so much. Got 8 tier only? I mean, of course I got the MVP. How much damage did I do? Wow. Whoa, the Darius actually did more damage than me. That's insane. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I chose to not upload a game where I fully dominated the enemy because I feel like it would be a bit boring. Like this game, at least the enemy contested some stuff. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next Wild Rift video.